Why am I talking about my bragging rights here? I've met all these cool people. Well, you can put this together here. We do have a little scripture we're going through. We're going through the letters that John wrote. And John, he knew a celebrity. Oh yeah, for 3 years he walked with Jesus, who was a celebrity back in the day. You guys know that. He knew Jesus. And he writes this letter so that we too can know Jesus. And he's clearing up some confusion about some people who think they know Jesus. So we're going to look at our text tonight. We're going to continue through 1 John. I'll follow along. We're going through 1 John. And the small groups are going to be starting up in a couple weeks. But 1 John, here we go. We're going to start tonight in chapter 2, verse 4. But before we do that, I'm going to give you some context, because I think that helps us, right, before we start reading. Okay, this is the same slide I've had for the last 2 weeks. Are you guys bored with it yet? Never. Never. Okay, so yeah, you guys remember John? Yeah, nickname Possible Love. Yeah, we got all that. What else? You guys can read the slide. You see it all there, right? Yeah. He was. He had first-hand experiences with Jesus. Next slide. Okay, we got a new slide tonight for some context. We are going to talk about Gnosticism. Yes, this is Gnosticism was a belief system that was going on in early Christianity. Gnosticism comes from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge. And Gnostics professed to be Christians, but claimed to have additional knowledge that was superior to what the apostles taught. Gnostics taught that matter was evil, that flesh was evil, and therefore the man Jesus could not be God. The Gnostics also believed that Christ could not have taken on evil human flesh because of this. And so he wasn't a divine being, and therefore he could not have defeated sin on the cross, because he could have nothing to do with sin, because sin is evil and that would contaminate him. However, they honored Christ's teachings and believed that man was to evolve intellectually into a higher state of self-awareness or knowledge, and that was their salvation, their knowledge. Sounds familiar, huh? And you think about this day and age, there's a lot of people think that their knowledge will save them. But that's why John is writing this letter. See, the Bible's always relevant, even today. Bible's relevant. So John is writing this letter. Let's start again here, 1 John chapter 2, verse 4. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected by him. By this we know that we are in him. He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. So this passage, I believe, is a proof statement. You guys know what a proof statement is? Yeah. In mathematics, any math majors in the house? Okay, you guys have to probably do this to be here at UC Davis. You can look at the little picture here we got on the screen. But mathematics, a proof is a convincing demonstration that some mathematical statement is necessarily true. A proof must demonstrate that a statement is true in all cases without a single exception. So let me read this passage again here, just that first part. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So if you know him, John is saying, he's talking to the Gnostics and to us, then you keep his commandments. And a little way we can remember this tonight, and going to this slide here, there's the proof, see a little picture to help us. The way we can remember this, if you know, then show, all right? You guys say that with me. If you know, then show. All right, that's fun. So what's the proof of knowing Jesus in this sentence? It's if someone says, you know him, they show this by keeping his commandments. If you know him, but you don't do what he says, John just straight up calls us liars, and calls the Gnostics, calls us. And he's saying, if you aren't living like you know him, then you're not. You're lying. It's pretty straight up. But this is exactly what the Gnostics were saying, that we know Jesus in our heads, but their actions, because matter was evil, it didn't matter how they lived. It didn't matter what they did with their bodies, because, hey, it's just matter. It's all about the spirit and the knowledge. So John is correcting this right from the get-go in this letter here. And I just think it's so interesting, even though this is thousands of years ago, and we don't go around calling ourselves Gnostic Christians, this is still happening today. A lot of us know God in our heads, but not in our actions. You know, people say, I know the Bible, I know about the Bible, I've been to Sunday school, I went to church, I was even baptized as a baby, you know? But they're not living with their actions like they know him. So you may know a lot about him tonight, but are you doing the living part, the relationship with him part that comes from knowing him. Are you doing what he asks of you? How is your proof statement, is my question. Is it 100% accurate? Think about it. So my proof that I know these celebrities are my photos, right? But do you guys think I really know these celebrities? Or maybe do I think I know these celebrities? Do I know what they think about? Do I know, what they like to eat? No. I know Jeff knows Matt pretty well, and I know kind of Chris Allen's pastor. I kind of know a friend of Mark McMillan's, John Mark McMillan. But the point is, guys, I don't know these guys well. I don't know what their family life was like. I don't know what they like to watch on TV. I don't know these guys. I don't even know how many Skittles they need before a performance, You've heard about that? That's a little thing performers do to make sure that the standards are to their condition. They request a certain amount of Skittles. To be honest, I didn't even know when Matt's album came out, his new album, until a couple months after it did. So that just shows what kind of fan I am. Actually, I'm a dad. That's the problem. That's not a problem. It's a good thing. I just don't have time to be, keeping up with famous people, okay? I've got a life to live. But many of us think that we know a celebrity, including myself. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I feel so cool that I know these guys. But many of us think that we know God because we took a photo with him at a concert. Maybe we think we know God because we catch dinner with him every couple of years if our friend can line up the connection. I did eat sushi with Matt Carty once, and it was really fun. But the point is, knowing God is more than just a one-time experience. It affects our everyday lives, knowing him. I'll tell you about someone I do know. I do know this person's favorite color. I know what kind of TV shows this person likes. I know what kind of food this person likes. Even in the middle of the night, I know this kind of food person likes. We put a fridge in our room. Yes, we did. We're ready for this baby. I know when she's not in a good mood, even if her face says something different. I know when she's anticipating something. I know her hopes, her dreams. I know my wife. And I even know her in the biblical sense. I mean, proof she's pregnant, okay? But we're not going there. But, friends, the way I show that I know my wife and that I love my wife is through the honey-do list. Have you guys heard of the honey-do list? If you guys can Google what, biblical, Greek, Hebrew, now, you guys thought that. Yeah, there you go. All right. But the honey-do list, let me tell you about the honey-do list. Put up a slide. There we go. The honey-do list. I didn't learn about this until I put on the wedding band. I didn't even know this was an actual term, or you could Google image it. I didn't even know until I got married, when my life suddenly changed. And every day, or every other day, I get these honey-do lists. And now they come in the form of email. Hey, Will, don't forget to pick up the milk, pick up the bread. Or being that my wife used to run DCF, she says, hey, don't forget to take an offering. Don't forget to tell them about the fall retreat. That kind of stuff. But did you guys know that my wife used to run DCF before we got married? Pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. But anyhow, the honey-do list, when I do the honey-do list because I love my wife. I do what she asks me to do because I want to see her happy. I want to see the dreams that she has fulfilled. And if that even just runs a couple errands and I have to make a little effort in my day to get the honey-do list done, I'm going to do my best too. I don't always succeed. Sometimes there's a few items like call, what is that? I don't know. That's the red one because all the blue are done, right? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And the point is, love shows the no, friends. And we got a little line there for you to remember this. Love shows the no. Let's read the verse. Whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him. By this, we know that we are in him. The motivation to obey God is love. Bottom line. The love of God is perfected in us as we obey him, as we love him. We grow more in love with him as we do what he asks us to do. I'll just be straight up with you guys. A lot of times, I feel like my relationship with God is like with Matt Carty. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like there's a distance there. There is a disconnect. And when I begin to reflect on it and say, okay, why don't I feel like I know you, God? You know, it's really hard to follow you right now. I realize there's some places in my life where I'm not aiming to be perfected in God's love, where I'm not doing the last thing He told me to do because it's uncomfortable, or I have to go out of my way to do it, or I'm just too tired to get down and do what's done, you know? But friends, we are saved by grace. I want to let you guys know that as we talk about this tonight. It is grace, and it's God's grace, and it's about our heart attitude. We can never earn God's love by doing all the lists He asks us to do. But when we see there's a disconnect in our lives, in our hearts, we can oftentimes trace it back to there's maybe a place where we're not aiming to be perfected in His love, where we're not following through with what He asked us to do. And I love how this translation used the words perfected in Him. Some other translations say completed. Some other, they have different words, but I like perfected because it makes me think of the 100% score we all long for on our midterms in like 2 days. Our midterms are already here. Isn't that just crazy? Yeah. The perfection, that's the aim we're trying to go for. And sometimes it takes a little help to get that A on your test, right? You got to do some homework. You got to do some studying. You got to maybe even visit a tutor or join a study group, right? I think it's the same way in our relationship with God, with this aim to be perfected in love. We really need each other. We need our core groups. We need to talk about where we're struggling, where we're wrestling in obedience with one another. DCF's a place where we're real. I mean, you saw in our worship tonight, we have a lot of fun in DCF, and we are serious about God. Yeah, so tonight I want to ask you, do you need to spend some time in a study group in that goal, being perfected in love? Do you need to lean on each other? Do you need to get in a core group? Or maybe there's just someone you need to talk to even tonight about something you're going through, some place of obedience where you're really not living like you know Him, but you want to live, that's your desire. We want to take a few minutes before we leave tonight just to pray together around this room and just ask God to come and intersect you right where you're at, because He's here. He's not far away. Even though we have those feelings sometimes, He's not the one who's distant. It's really, we're not making space in our hearts for Him. So tonight, you've already taken that step. You've made a step here tonight to be here, to make space in your life to encounter Jesus, and I hope you have in worship already. But yeah, I want to ask you, is there places of struggle and obedience that you're wrestling with that tonight you want to lay before the Lord again, where you want to redirect your aim to be perfected in love?